Thank you. One of the things that I wanted to take care of before I did a cross-country road trip in a 21-year-old truck was to get the brakes redone. Because I was crunched for time, I decided to take it to a place. Now this is the point I'm getting to. The reason why I try to do all my own work is because, you know, if I follow the manual, I can do everything properly, do everything the right way. Now I took it to a place, which I won't name, but it starts with an S. So I asked them to do just the front brakes, because I had recently done the rear brake drums, all the springs and the shoes and everything. I asked them to replace the pads and do a complete fluid flush. They flushed the brakes, they turned the rotors. When I got the Bronco back, I took it for a test drive, which I'm guessing they have to do. Brakes were not very good. The brakes weren't as good as before. At this point, I had run out of time. I had to leave to go on this trip. By the time I got to Denver, which was on the second day, I was really having to mash that pedal all the way down just to get to a stop, and not even at very high speeds. I'm talking about in traffic, going 30 miles an hour maybe, and coming to a red light stop. I'm really having to stomp on the brakes to get this big truck to stop. I'm at this point now, since I'm going in to change the hubs to manual locking hubs, that I figure while I'm in there, might as well just go ahead and do it all. So I got all brand new things. I got new ball joints, upper and lower ball joints. I got new rotors and hubs. I got new bearings. I got the manual locking hubs from Mile Marker. I also got new radius arm bushings. I got new tie rod ends and the pitman arm ball joint and all that stuff for both sides. I've already done the passenger side, so we're gonna go ahead and do the driver's side, and I'll show you guys how to do all that stuff. Putting new calipers on and everything just to make sure everything is 100% and done right the first time. We're gonna go by the book for this one. Diff is leaking some diff fluid. That's normal though, because I just pulled the axle out and it's at full droop right now, so we'll just replace some of that fluid. It's not pretty easily. Alright, now is the hard part. So we have to torque that lock nut, the outside lock nut, 160 to 205 foot-pounds, according to the instructions. Now this spanner lock nut, this spindle nut, it only has these tiny little prongs, and it's pretty difficult to make sure it's square on there and tighten it to that high of a foot-pound. But here goes for trying. Alright, finally we get to put the hub in. Now it says not to grease these, so pop them in there. The main reason why we did this, so it's in the free position, and I can just turn this. It is not engaged to the axle right here. Now if we switch this to the lock position, the axle engages and turns, so you get four-wheel drive. Okay, so it's the next morning, and we're gonna go ahead and button everything up. We're going to paint the calipers, we're gonna change the pitman arm and the tie rod ends, and then we're gonna bleed the brakes. Now the only reason I'm painting the calipers is so they don't rust, so it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just gonna do a few quick coats as the instructions say, just to make sure that it stays rust free. Just a quick lunch break and haircut. All we have left is we're going to torque everything down, grease all the fittings, bleed the brakes, get in an alignment. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and bleed the brakes. Start from the farthest from the master cylinder and work our way closest to the master cylinder. I'm not going to really go over the one-man brake bleeding system. It's been covered a million times online. I just follow Chris Fix's video on the one-man brake bleed, and it seems to work just fine. One upgrade that I didn't really mention, but since I'm going to be bleeding the brakes anyways, I'm going to go ahead and change the wheel cylinders in the rear. I've done it in the past to the factory ones, but these are actually from a 1-ton truck, from an F350. Apparently these are a little bit larger bore and give you a little bit better stopping capability. So we're going to go with these and see how much it changes. These are real cheap, so figure while I'm there, I might as well go ahead and give it a shot. Alright, so all the brakes are bled. I got a really firm pedal, so I'm gonna go take it for a test drive. Here's to hoping all goes well. Your breath is stinky. Your breath is stinky. So I just took the Bronco out for a spin. Four-wheel drive is engaging with those locking hubs, so I just turn them to lock. Four-wheel drive is working great. I went out to a little trail and I tested it out, and all 4 tires spun. We're in business there. It's definitely stopping a lot better than it was before. One other thing I still need to do is take it to a place to get in alignment. Driving out to the trail that I tested the 4-wheel drive, it definitely did not track straight. So that's next on the agenda after I work this weekend. Everything turned out great. It was a lot of work, took me a few days, and this is why it costs so much money to do auto work, you know? You guys can find me on Instagram and Facebook, both at Auto Existence, as well as my website, autoexistence.com. Thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.